We're here to do a quick check-in for the post full moon in school. I was going to say Scorpio there, but yes, it does feel like Scorpio because it has been quite deep. I'm just going to quickly PM the members. They'll be like, heck, where are we? What are we doing? We're going to have a quick chat. Basically in a bit of moral support, really to break things down and get some context of what's going on live on YouTube. You all. And I will get me on camera in a minute. I'll just set up the transits because we had the full moon on the 4th of December in the house of Gemini at 13 degrees. And we also did have the Mercury retrograde. Now at the moment we have Mercury, it's in shadow, it went station, and honest to goodness, I can tell you when Saturn went station, did some things pop off. We definitely had some things pop off. So I will throw me on screen. I hope you got coffee because I've literally come home from work and boy, was it deep. More than likely for me, it was deep because I have been saying this for a while. My astrology chart, if I was your guinea pig, it has not been fun. Probably since, I would say 2012, it's been amping up. And for me, really with the positions, the placements, obviously the way I landed on YouTube many moons ago, it was through being on Facebook, really not giving psychic readings away pretty much free of charge, developing the gift further. Gifts go in ebbs and flows, so they change and evolve over the years. And it was an absolute sheer mistake that I actually ended up on YouTube. And then had to really use that skill to tune into a zodiac. It was like, well, how can I make a zodiac a physical person and tune into that as an individual? So that was a unique kind of experience to really kind of morph the gift into something very separate. And then it was text messages. I used to have people dropping cups off at my house when I was working, because I was working in the nursing industry for many years. So then through my ascension process and awakening, did start to study astrology, which has been my saving grace. And it has actually really helped me with what we call the ascension process. I think it's a little bit like the raincoat when we're going out and actually knowing what those things are. It can make us feel a little bit more sane when we're dealing with the transits, so that we're not feeling so alone. And this year, ultimately speaking, because we had the North Node in Pisces and we had the South Node in Virgo, remembering back to when we had Chiron in Pisces, I was well aware years prior that this was going to be quite a psychological year. Now, many are feeling at the moment extremely tired. So you can feel a little bit like an airhead at the moment, that you have a lot going on. Very vague at moments, especially in the context that Mercury is shadow direct. The other thing is we're not completely certain of things at the moment. So we're, and I can directly say that in my life, especially because my North Node is Scorpio. It's have been balancing two things in life. So it's sort of like, you're going backwards, you're going forwards. And that really has been the context of this year. Now, being that we have Saturn currently direct, as much as some of us might feel, and this was, and I'll get the date for you, and I want you to think back to what exactly was going on. And I'm telling you, it was so direct on point. The day that it went station, literally every person in my family and my friendship groups had something physically happen. I also did. There was particular transits based on the Libra zodiac sign, and then within my personal chart. And I always say that. Look at your zodiac sign, your rising. So sun rising. Look at your chart. Look at those positions at a basic level with your zodiac, and then look at your actual birth chart, your time, plug it in and look at it. And both are going to directly relate, and it's going to show up in some fashion. I can say, especially if you guys have actually gone and listened to many astrologers, or it could be tarot readers, what you tend to find is these links are all synchronistically kind of meshed in together. So you will find that psychics will pick up on vibrations. Empaths at the moment will be feeling this vibration, sometimes very amplified, and more than likely you would have found it probably happened before the full moon. For me, that was my direct experience, and more than likely, like I said, because of the position of Saturn and what it was actually doing at that point in time. I'll get the exact date. Bear with me in my huge unorganized life at this point, especially with the balancing the two jobs. For me, this year has been a lot about really rebuilding a lot of things. And it's interesting because we're really through this process, and I think a lot of you probably can relate. It's really tested our patience. It's forced us to go with the flow, be it we want to or not. It's forced us to accept that so many hurdles and obstacles and conflict has come up to the point it's almost like one saying I was using with flow with go. And I have actually heard a couple of other astrologers mention that, which was quite funny. And maybe it's because from a metaphorical point of view, when you are going through an experience, it's sort of like, okay, well, the tide's taking us, we might as well keep going. So that really has been the way I have visually looked at this situation and felt it very much. Very early on into the piece, moving into 2025, I noticed the shadow energy of Virgo really coming through. And what we're meant to do theoretically is whatever was going on in that South Node, in that Virgo placement for us collectively and individually, we are to move towards the North Node, which will inadvertently change the South Node. And what does all that mumbo jumbo mean? Subjects to do with spirituality, learning to go with the flow, following our dreams. We may not have all the details, because what's Virgo? Virgo's the details. It's the data, it's the details, it's the fine print, it's the what are the steps we need to do to get to that. So what has really happened in the context of your dreams, and directly where that position is we have very much been forced to get rid of things that aren't working, do our routines in different ways, try to respond in more realistic, spiritual, empathy orientated, understanding the fact that you might have something going on, but 100 other people are going to have it. And so having to really lean into that empathy. And sometimes it could be that we really messed up with that one, excuse me. And it could have been, when did this go direct? What chart am I on? 2025. So we might have mucked up. We might have projected towards an individual. We might have got snappy with an individual over the year, and we're learning gradually to respond to our frustrations, our fatigue, our fear-based frequency in different unique ways so that we actually can handle it more effectively. And there has been a lot of endings. So everyone's personal trials and tribulations have really energetically been coming up for us directly to address at a very personal level. A lot of people are having sort of like this confusion, and I would not be surprised if when you are looking at a video based on the moon, or when you're looking at an astrology to do with transits, to do with predictions and the movement forward, some of you really could be questioning, okay, so what exactly is this? What exactly are we supposed to be doing here? Is the left one correct, or is the right one correct? And so if you have a small context of what you feel you understand inside your birth chart, you would be forgiven if you still were confused about what that is. And I very much do believe by our next lunation, things will make sense for you. So if you can operate inside it, maybe with an inch of, I think I know where I'm going right now. I think I know what I need to address. And for some of you, you've been working through this. It's almost like, and I always say this, especially in the context of Pluto in House of Aquarius, Pluto in any placement, those Scorpio vibes were making us go into the dark crevices of our life. You could have been looking at debt and tax and money and shared resources, inheritances. You may have had, people leave your life. You may have felt wounded in particular areas. You could have had massive flashbacks to do with betrayals and I said P. Diddy would be in the media. I said we would have things to do with situations of that nature crop up. In Sagittarius, it can be to do with priests, gurus, planes. Most recently, we had an article come up on the news, and it was talking about an aeroplane that went missing in 2014. And ironically, when I pulled the chart, it's much of the astrology that we do have in the sky at the moment, obviously in different positions, but the baseline of those subject matters were actually there. So I'm going to dive into it and do a bit more investigation. I do still believe that we are going to have a lot of cases cracked. In our own personal life, we could feel what way is going to be correct. And as I mentioned, I really do feel things are going to start making more sense. Let's get the date. I think it was the 30th we had it. So it was, let me double check. You're probably saying 30th, what yours? Of November. Because it was only a few days ago. So it's not that too long ago. So we had last month, November the 20th, we had the new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees. We also had Venus move between the two signs. Now, these subjects I have mentioned to those of you that have actually watched us here at Yildiz Readings 5-day, is that these key areas are going to re-come up again in intervals. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's obviously going to be different because we're evolving as we move through each cycle. But at the moment, those highlighted areas that you move through, and I would say probably from September this year to this point in time, it is quite natural, especially if you're looking at your wealth at the moment and you're looking at your finances, and this is not financial advice, it's based upon the astrology, and you're going, oh my gosh, I've got pennies. It's part of the transits for us to learn to live with less. It's not remaining that way. Jupiter is going to move direct, and it can actually bring back that abundance, but it's actually highlighting where the lack mentality is for us to resolve those situations. So try and trust that process, but also dig in. Saturn moving direct during its station. I'll get the date. I'm pretty sure it was the 30th. Yeah. So it was about 28th. It's now stationed, but smack bang on the date of its direct, everything popped off. What directly did you have during those times? What did you have, love? Did you have anything in particular? Does anyone have any questions? So is it a job that you're actually looking at and going, oh my gosh, I need to really stay here. I need to do this. It's not going to work if I move out of it. Is it your living environment? Do you have family related dynamics? I mean, I literally was at the post office today, and there's a beautiful lady behind the counter that I get on with quite well. She's psychic also. And she said to me, I believe you understand astrology and you're psychic. And I said, yes. And she quizzed me about some things and told me about a reading that she had. And we got speaking today, and it was to do with the transits moving forward and what to expect. And we, a lot of times when we are looking, hi, sweet, when we are looking at transits and Jupiter, for instance, I'm very careful about what I'm saying. Okay. Why? It's because, the one thing I really don't like is landing on another channel and feeling that maybe somebody is judging the collective out there. The way I actually use astrology is I base it upon myself and the people that I directly am in the circle with and see the correlating energy. So one correlating way I have actually seen Jupiter play out is litigation. It can be laws, it can be universities, it can be airplanes. It's Jupiter, okay? It can actually be larger animals, for instance. You may find at the moment planting things, for instance, is probably not doing super good. It can start picking up. So if you got some vegetables in the garden at the moment, this was a better time during the Mercury retrograde, maybe to do the composting, to do the toiling of the soil, getting those organics mixing in, clearing out the weeds and whatnot. And a lot of us have been super active around the home environment because Jupiter has been in Cancer. So you might have felt pulled in multiple directions, dealing with your kids, dealing with your siblings, dealing with your mother, trying to renovate your homes and feeling that things just weren't working and you were juggling things, and that is Jupiter. So with it in its retrograde, accommodation and job, it does make sense. So, we're feeling this pressure, and I just really want all of you to be incredibly gentle with yourself right now, to not freak out because it's not going to serve you. Scorpio has naturally taken us deep. I can literally say in the last week I have cried. I have probably sworn quite a bit. I've been frustrated. Could we be angry at Gaia? Could we be angry at ourselves? We can be. But when I've always said this, and it's something I use myself, allow the frustration to be, attempt not to project to other people because you've got to get to the root cause of it. You're allowed to be peeved. And then when you can pause and you can actually step back from it like a physical painting, you can go, okay, there's a way around this mountain. Let's take a good look at this mountain and we're going to case it out and we're going to work out how to get around this mountain. And it is, you'll always find, if you're really hungry and you go shopping, you're going to buy more. If you're emotional and you're attempting to resolve a situation, you're just not going to find a solution. You're 9 times out of 10 probably going to walk past and do it the same way and just have a very poor outcome. So at the minute, what we need to do is acknowledge that we're frustrated. We're probably angry at the moment. Have empathy for the people around you that are going through these it could be some very, very scary times. I mean, we are looking at these deeply changing ecosystems around us and trying to find what's safe. And universe is really saying to us, it is in our groups, in our family groups, it's with the faith, having faith. Moved overseas a few years ago. Yeah, look, and even with Jupiter in Cancer, it's also, for a lot of us, it could be that we want to return home or we want to go overseas or we're wanting to feel this connection, feeling lost. People really are going to be feeling that at the moment, like, where am I? And it is because the North Node is in Pisces. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing this alone. I remember through a part of my ascension path when Chiron was in Pisces, I actually forced myself to be alone. So when 2020 hit and it all happened, some people in light workers were already going through that kind of vibration. And I recall saying to anytime I wanted to look outside myself, I went, okay, I'm in isolation here. I'm all alone. What is this actually showing me? Can I console myself? Can I show myself that I can survive in this dynamic and thrive and then integrate back into having connections and building it up. So what I did find was where I was feeling the lack was where I directly had the control and the power to actually bring vibrations of individuals in. And so it was like, what it was showing me was I needed connections. I needed feminine connections for many, many years. I had a belief system due to wounding that females were the enemy. And it was like, well, no, I don't want to have that relationship. I want to actually have that strong feminine connection where I could connect with soul sisters and I could have like-minded individuals in my world. And then it was having hobbies and goals and aspirations. And I can even say myself this week, it was like I was saying to myself, what's the point? What is the point? I was in real victim consciousness. And it's like, okay, you're emotional, you're tired, you run down. Let's honor the emotion. Let's allow it to come up. cry, scream, try to not take it out on anyone, put myself in the naughty corner. And, I have over the years developed ways of communicating with my loved ones and my partner and saying, hey, this is my code word, and this is just me basically having my moment, and I'll be a different human being again tomorrow. But what this is showing us at the moment is what we don't want. And, I've even said to a couple of individuals that were Pisces, you potentially could feel very isolated right now. So, and it won't be permanent. At the moment, it can feel very isolating when Saturn is in your zodiac sign, because it reduces things around you. It sometimes can even reduce the ability for you to be yourself, and you can feel very mad that you are somehow made to be something or have a lot of crap on your plate. But it has in the shadow self show, sometimes we can end up taking on things that weren't our responsibility in the first place. And it was just like going with the flow, accepting that of what we can't control, being in the here and now. So, and it's going to move into Aries again next year, where it'll sit for quite a while. So at the moment, being that Saturn is sitting in Pisces, we do currently have Neptune retrograde. So we're looking at things so realistically. It's like, oh, shit, there's this or there's that. So it might be a monetary situation, but I can't do it. And just step back for a minute and go, there is a solution here? Because what Saturn does is it does end up blessing you. It can give you some clarity of where you can find that resource to get that thing, to do the thing that you want to do. And it's because that you have been, how can I explain it? It never leaves you without, it will give you something in the end of its transit, which technically it isn't the critical degree point. It's reaching that critical degree point. It's going to wrap up its cycle as it moves into 2026. We've got a little bit more of it to go, but it will never retrograde again in our lifetime in the house of Pisces. So, it's bittersweet. I kind of did say, and especially with the context that people this year have lost a lot of people. I don't want to use the term loosely when people are going through pain, but psychologically, this year can feel like it's the ghost of girlfriend's past. It's the funeral we're going to of our old life. And some of those elements are actually a good thing. Some of those things we can be looking at and going, I just don't resonate with doing life that way anymore. It's not working. And so in the context, that can be a very good thing. When we're getting into the vibration of everything's going to be terrible forever, I never want to say that's the wrong attitude to have, because when you're in the thick of it, don't you dare tell somebody that that is the bad time to have that. I remember having a purge and having these beautiful individuals that were in my life that I coached, and we kind of bounced back and forward for each other in that context. And one time they were really pushing me through the wound, which obviously my soul is. I can't say that was the way it was. That's how this breakthrough happened for me. But it was really probing, where I actually pushed back verbally, and it was like, whoa, not wrong time to do this. And, that is the context. Sometimes that wound, sometimes our major breakthroughs actually come through the blow up, where we can actually get the root cause and we can spew out and say exactly what we're feeling, and get a better comprehension and an understanding of what actually is going on deep down. That can be where you have your breakthroughs. Running away from it, generally, you don't get that outcome. I have had a few soul walk-ins where I felt like the life has died, the ring in the air is not kind of vibrating with this. I felt like an alien soul shock energy. Your soul will give you what you can handle. And sometimes when we say that, we're like, I don't believe that, because it's going too far, it's going too deep, it's too much. You will get the fatigue, but generally when we get that, what we find is it is a purge of the ego, because our brains are trying to operate instead of the feel. So we can get headaches, and we can get emotional, we can get very confused, we'll go to sleep, and then we'll wake up and we actually do look at the perspective in a very different way, and we feel so much light. Like, wow, that was a big purge. Like, what was that all about? And other times it can be that because we are rested, we can see that perspective differently the next day. But this is a turning point. And I do think if you have been on the fence with this moon, and I don't feel it was just the moon, we also need to understand where Mercury has been. So this moon, based on Mercury, Gemini is Mercury, the South Node is Mercury, and we also have Mercury that has been moving between Sagittarius and Scorpio. And those energies are going to continue on for a little bit more, moving back and forward. So it can be the people we've lost, tax, debt, legacies, inheritances. You could be looking at your life and saying you want to stand for something, but you don't know how to rise that, get to the top of that mountain. You don't know. You might feel as though you're very angry at what is happening in the world, and if there's good things to come, and what difference you directly can make. These changes we're going through, sometimes in that big emotion is where the biggest changes happen. And I do think the biggest things that go are the bigger the replacement is. And that was something I was really hearing from my guides today. When I've actually had the biggest losses in my life, I've had the biggest gains. And I don't mean at that moment. I generally find when something is removed from our life, something massive is replacing it, which is bringing a brand new energy that is quite large, and can be especially, when we lose our pets, we kind of automatically want to go into replacing it. But generally speaking, from a spiritual point of view, what I've seen over the years is that when universe has given you that to share and it has transcended over, it is because your energy, that soul contract between you and that animal, knows that you actually are going into a new chapter and space needed to be made. Healing needed to occur for that actual new chapter to move into. So try to trust that process, and don't force your soul at the moment. If you are finding that the healing is difficult, to hurry up. You still have time. It is no rush. Go slow, sit in the fields, jot things down. And also, when you are feeling more upbeat, one of my pieces of advice, which I'm going to do some kind of information videos to prepare you for 2026, maybe come on live again and give you some pointers. Get a toolbox for yourself ready for next year. And that can be something to go to motivate you. And I would probably go onto YouTube Music and create a private folder for yourself, and it's your go-to. It can be one that is motivational speaking, where it might be a goal that you actually want to move towards, and almost like psychologically tapping into you and saying, hey, this is what we're getting here. This is why we're doing something. And I think for a lot of us at the moment, if you have been operating differently and staying inside of situations because you knew you had to, because you had a goal in mind and that Saturnian energy was coming in, it means you're consciously choosing to do something for a goal, even if it was frustrating. The other thing is, I would get music that inspires you, and it's the pump up music, it's the motivation music, and being cautious about, what we're listening to. So while we're in that better vibration, probably what I do is have motivational talk kind of folder to really prompt you to achieve your goals next year. The other thing is music to uplift you, and meditation tracks as a toolkit. I am going to be creating kind of workshops online to actually work through those chakra systems as we're going through that process next year, because when things move into Gemini and Aries, it's going to be very busy. So we're kind of in this exhausted phase right now. We still next year will have a little bit of the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. But a lot of what we've thrown out or has gone and going, what we're outgrowing but feeling we're going one step forward, 20 steps back, you're going to start feeling some forward momentum now. even though you probably can't see it. Some of you also might have operated so differently and had a very psychic download about who you could trust, who you couldn't. Almost like you had this X-ray vision and you were looking at people, sensing, smelling. It's like this sixth sense really coming online where you were like, I can't tell that person this. I need to be cautious. People also could have really been exposing themselves with things that they were actually saying to you, which could have been quite eye-opening. So has anyone had some huge revelations where people were actually really saying things and you were like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. So I'll wait for if anyone wants to say anything. So where have you moved overseas? How is that going for you? I think, with moving, it does directly, generally, you will see it in your chart, especially, you'd look at your home zone, you look at maybe even the first house, it could be, but you'll look at the Jupiter to see if that was something where another movement will come in. You're still hanging in there, right? How have you been, Chris? So, do we have any questions, any personal things that have been coming up in life that you just feel really stumped on and you're like, I really don't know what to do. I don't know what's right. Do I go left? It could be, do I get another job? Hong Kong. Ooh. It's a hard one. I truly believe that where we are, where we're placed, our soul has a contract with that. So it could be real, it could feel really funky. It's like, oh my gosh, why am I here? What am I doing? And I don't think it's going to matter what country. I really don't. I truly believe that our soul ends up being where there is something that we are supposed to be from UK. What zodiac do you love? Did you want to move home again? Did you want to go home? I really don't think it's going to matter where we are. I think, when things do start getting intense, which I won't lie. Look, there is, when I've looked at previous states of transits that we are moving into next year, similar. Okay, this is going to be new for all of us. We do see potentials of civil unrest. Okay, we still will have the North Node in Pisces for a bit. But as that shifts, things could intensify. A few moments yet, I am taking care of my energy. Back hair again, lived hair before, returned during COVID. Yeah. And the crazy thing is that is going to be one big question. I think it's more than likely because Jupiter is retrograde. What Jupiter does is it's trying to show us something. It's trying, and what's Cancer? Cancer's home. Aries. Oh, there is a big thing for that for you, doll. That's there is going to be a lot of healing in that department. Like I said, it can feel at the moment, especially with where Pisces would be placed just for the Aries natives at the moment, it can be extremely psychological. And, when it's kind of placed in that 12th house, you almost feel like you could take everything real personal. You could feel as though people are out to get you. And, people that you really, really trusted might have really crossed you over the last few years, where it was very, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Even friends, that were there, you do have some dynamic changes coming through. You probably don't believe it, but the best for you is yet to come. And success. There is some peace really for your zodiac sign that is trying to actually You know, you can feel as though you weren't loved. You can feel as though you were not understood, you were not treated correctly, that you were the black sheep of the family. It's almost like you are going to move into this brand new vibration, and especially because you in the energy, you know, the Scorpio and the Mars energy, then we've got Pluto in there. It's deep. It's full on. It's like we could be putting the poker face like, I got my shit together. I'm okay. But it's deep, right? Once you move through that and you come out the other side, you're going to be like, this is me. This is me. And you might even, I remember going through this process, that first and seventh house. Yeah, it's full. It's full on. You're going to get to the point you're going to be like, this is me. And you're projecting. You're just going to be like, yeah, cool. Oh, sixth house, bitch, what? Sixth house. Yeah, and I was talking to a sibling about this. They've actually got the position at the moment with the north node there. And again, there's the north node, south node, there's the shadow energy of it. Something my daughter used to say to me years ago, she's like, Mum, you know, this person's mum does this. And I heard this for years. And I thought back to my childhood. My mum and dad were together for over 25 years. And there was a huge gap between my sister was 2 years younger than me. And then we had a huge gap between two other siblings. And it was kind of strange because the older energies of the individuals in the family, it was very strict. You know, obviously with the first kid, it's like, all right, you're going to get it all. The second kid was sort of like, ha, 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 I'm going to get away with bloody murder. And then the other two was like a just totally different family. And it was like we were the parents at some point. It's like, hey, get your sister, get your brother. But their perspective after the mum and dad broke up was a very different experience. And even with my own child, she would say, and my younger sister, who was about 15 years, there was a 15-year gap, and it was like, hey, this happened to us. And I think what I have learned over the years is we do, empaths generally do feel like they're the black sheep of the family. And when you go through that awakening, you actually pause at a point and you look in at the people that are projecting at you and you realize everyone feels that way. And that's when we can bring that. And by no means do I know everything that's happened in your life, but this is how I actually coped with it, because I had Pluto in the fourth house for 17 years. It sucked. And after that, the amount of feeling very isolated, feeling alone, having to move homes all the time. Yeah, you're home, your family. No, you're not. It was very distorting. It was very upsetting, but it gave me something inside myself where I could start turning into myself and really saying, hey, hang on a minute, I got your back. Hey, hang on a minute, you were deserving of that. And realizing through hundreds of people's stories that there's always one person in the family. There's no normal family. Some of my friends became a secondary family at times. And we would actually have the orphans Christmas. We would connect in to be ourselves. And so the more we can move into just being ourselves, regardless of the expectations of others, which is going to be a huge thing, especially for Aries. You know, we've had Chiron and Aries. Chiron's retrograde at the moment. So those wounds are really running deep, especially at a collective level. And then we move into 2026 and it's like, you're running out the gate. I mean, it's the horse, yeah. You know, you're like, this is me, right? Okay. It was great to see you all. We're going to move forward. Now, could there be a little bit more of this? There could be, but you may find this is a huge opportunity to have those talks, to face into that and to go, no, it wasn't okay. But now, for what part of my life I have left, it's going to be bloody good. Even in a storm, you are going to choose to love yourself, to find the connections around you, to feel that sense of family, to have the independence and the running and doing the things that you want to do. But it has been deep. Just be really gentle with yourself. It's very natural what you're feeling right now. It's perfectly natural. I would also say get some rest because the fatigue is real. It has been very exhausting. So true. Nearly at the top of the hill. I know, right? We're like soldiers. Let's go. I mean, the other night I was like, no, it's not fair. And then you can get on the rampage, you know, it's like, the government's against me. I'm like, okay, get your shit together, Yildiz. Find strength, yeah. Can I have a message about my karmic debt or message from karmic? I've done a lot of clearing. We can after, but you gotta just wait for me to say, do we, don't we have super chat? I felt like I had to fight for every moment of sleep last night. I've been so tired. I just like, you know, but I during the Mercury retrograde, I connected in Google Workspace. I've had so much dramas. I am going to get this working. I am going to get it working. It has been no contact this person, no contact. I'm like, seriously, guys, it's Mercury retrograde, you know. I totally agree. But think of it this way. When every inch of my fears way back when in my own personal awakening and twin flight path happened, I'll be honest, like I'm in bad fucked up shit, right? And I was like, well, if it's all happened and you can read a player, you can see the signs, you can see the synchronicities, and you're like, you know, it's almost like beating a poker player at their own game. But look at life as bungee jumping. Do you want to jump into life? Like somebody asked me the other day, if you were told that you were going to go tomorrow, what would you do? And you know, oddly, the weirdest statement came to my mouth was dance. Because what do you feel when you don't care if anyone's looking at you or watching you or judging you? It's total freedom. And this is something that the North Node in Pisces is wanting us to get to. How do we be the happiest? We are the happiest when we aren't looking over our shoulders, wondering if somebody wants to stab us in the back, that we are loving that life and being very present and just understanding that we have today. This is what we've got right now is all we have. And so if you were to have tomorrow, what do you want it to be? You know, look at it like it's an investment and go, no, that is my life. What am I putting in that kitty? You know, what am I doing with that? That's very important. We can't expect other people to value us if we aren't nurturing and loving ourselves. And that was one of my biggest downfalls was I was so mad that people weren't acknowledging what I had or got what I gave them. It was almost like the polar opposite. I would give them what I was wanting to receive. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. It's like we're trying to show somebody what we like, but then we sort of can just say it. So in the meantime, it was like, okay, well, if that's the case, how do I start falling in love with my life and realizing there's no promise tomorrow? I was actually less attached to fights. I was less attached to argue a point. It was water off a duck's back. And that was through Chiron in Pisces. I developed that. Have I had to go back to that? I think for time, yes, we do. And when we do have particular transits, it does reshape you at a very permanent level. And I said this a few years ago, I really do feel the zodiac signs on the wheel are changing. So, you know, Aries, I feel Aries and Libra are changing. Virgo and Pisces, you guys will be permanently changed. Why? Is because some of these planets are moving and the way they've shifted and they're not coming back into these positions for a long time. We won't be here. You're permanently changed. Therefore, the dynamic and the vibration and how you are as human beings within that zodiac sign is also you're changed forever. So try to get that you are the collective signature of that, and you are ushering in a new vibration. And so, you know, you're a giraffe and you're being reborn. It's going to be painful, but with those wobbly legs, you're walking into this brand new chapter. And so be open-minded about it. Look at the fact that with some of these transits, some of the biggest innovators on the planet were, you know, came to be. I mean, we had Charlie Chaplin. I put it in the community post. We had Coca-Cola. And if you go and look at that post or go look at that video and you get the background of it, that is the transits we're moving into. You have major opportunities to be innovators in the future, way showers, and people to really change this planet moving forward. We are born in very interesting times. So try and be excited about that. The other thing I think about, which is that, you know, I try to, as much as possible, turn a negative into a positive. And I had a bit of a chuckle the other day. We have all these, you know, Aquarius. What's Aquarius? It's things that the masses use, for instance. Where is it? It's in Pluto. The waste and the junk on the planet. Guess what? They're going to have to start making things that last a hell of a lot longer. What does that mean? We won't have to keep chucking that fucking kettle out. How many of you have bought a printer and it lasts a month? But apparently there's no inventors on the planet. No, we're just stuck in a system. So that's one upside. It has to be that way now. So any other battling health? Oh, yeah, look, I have had that probably with the Pisces in general for the Libra axis. It's kind of like, you know, health. It's pets. I had a pet pass. Oh, got everything. It was popping off. It's a bit like, you know, being in the eye of a storm and everyone's screaming. You're like, I got some shit going on, but yeah. And through absolute sheer love, it's like, okay. Yeah, and I think what I'm finding personally is it's tested mental health, that's for sure. It's almost like you want to cry, but you end up laughing because you think that universe has really got it in for you. You're like, you're fucking with me. It's like, you know, I obviously, for those of you that have followed me for a long time, you know I'm doing 2 jobs at the moment. And this year, best of intentions to get the content done, but all I've done is rebuild the entire network again. We had Skype that went, so Teams came in, researching, rebuilding the website, throwing things out that weren't working. This is Pisces. It's like, right, okay, you need to go look at these details. You need to pull them out. Oh my God, what am I going to do to replace? You know, and it's been this way the whole year through. I've had a lot of people pass. Care of parents, lots, you know, a lot on my plate, more than you. And see, Libra and Aries, and I did mention this to you guys that have been watching me for a while, is that your blessings you usually get when you move through that cycle was a bit delayed. It is yet to come. So don't think it's not coming. It was delayed due to the fact that we were having the ingress of all 7. Okay. So it's still coming, in my humble opinion. You're going to get your blessings. You usually get your sprinkle dust. You know, you didn't really get that, did you? You know, I remember when people were going, oh, Libra, you're having fun. I'm like, fuck off, where? Are you serious? Aries having fun? No. And as to your image, Libra and Aries, it's okay. You're going to look hot as heck next year. Just calm your farm, okay? If you need to eat Chrissy cake, go do it, even though technically we've got Saturn at the 28th degree. It's like, it's going to go, okay, you need to be good now. We're ending cycles. It could be you're needing to kick a habit and you're looking at it and going, hey, that's going to bring more money into the budget. It might be bringing your health back up to par. We're going to be looking at those 2 axes. Dramas that happen with families. Many of you, if you've had any dramas, how Jupiter can play out depends on where it's placed in your chart at the moment. But old situations can be cropping up. You might revisit connections or issues. Haven't got to the laughing part as of yet. Oh, look, the laughing part is because I lost my marbles. Somebody said to me at a yard the other day, they're like, good to see you got a smile on your face. I said, oh, no, this is, I've just gone the same, that's all. I just cracked. And they actually, look, a lot of people use humor for the difficulties, because 9 times out of 10, what you'll find is other people around you are feeling exactly the same. They really are. It has been very difficult. And sometimes when we're going through these things and we're like, oh, that's okay, I'll just handle the world. You don't realize that 101 Dalmatians down the road's going through the same thing. And I had this lovely person who's my neighbor, and I stop and I have a chat, and it was reaching the Saturn Ingress station, and I knew the Scorpio moon was there, which was deep. There was a big purge for me. My North Node's there, my Venus is there. And so I know that polarity. I know how deep and dark it can be. I regularly have people come up to me and tell me stories, is because that Scorpio, and people with Pisces placements, people with Scorpio placements, people can pour their heart out to you. But you also can learn to do that the older you get, because you move into that energy and you have a deeper understanding of it, because it can feel very dark. The best poets in the world would have those placements, because you can evoke that deep emotion. Adele, for instance, you listen to the music and you almost feel that person is singing to you, that you can resonate with it because it's relatable. That relatability is where we find our deepest connection. So sometimes it can be even relating to the people you're having issues with and getting to that root cause. And sometimes it's in our most vulnerable kind of ways. It could be snot hanging down your face and you're crying, and they're like, what the fuck? And they're like, wow, you've been holding your shit together. If I only just knew. I think sometimes we presume people understand, or people just know, and they don't. Sometimes they're feeling the same as you. I'm reading the body languages. What do you need me to do? I mean, I am psychic. And I even say to people around me, I'm not tapping into you. I'm not reading everything you do. If you have something to say, say it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But the thing is, when we say that, we need to be ready to accept that, dirt and all. It could be some criticism. It might be something that they felt. And just because another person has felt you've done something to them, it doesn't mean you did that intentionally. So wording things is key, in framing it. But this gentleman came and had a chat to me, and I took 5 minutes of my boring old time. And, it was a very important moment for that gentleman. And he articulated to me that this was a very difficult day for him, that not only was his birthday coming up, but there were 3 people in his life that he really had loved, and it marked an anniversary of their death, and he was alone. So that 5 minutes of taking that time to have a chat does mean something. Our connections mean something to us. So we need to move into them. We've had some time in the reflection in the retrogrades, and it could have been, you did this to me and the whole world's against me, and something would have been revealed to you. And you're not bad, whatever that was. It's not that you're not within your right to want what you want. It can be now that we have had that personal experience, we do start moving forward a little bit lighter. You're going to have a lot of heart chakra activation. I have had so much. I would say back in 17 and 18, the heart chakra was real for me in my ascension process. It broke into a million pieces, and I was like, how the hell are you getting bigger. It was almost like the breaking actually made the heart chakra bigger, because what would replace was understanding, logic, compartmentalization, processing, and then looking at that person's experience as well, not just my own. When we're going through it, yeah, we are looking at it from our own perspective. But after that fact, it's like, well, fuck, how did this affect this person? It helped me understand why people were reacting in certain ways, that I was just making it all about myself. And then I was like, no, but where did they live? And there was a beautiful book I read years ago, and it helped an element of me understand family. And it was like, thinking maybe that your mum or your dad had it in for you, and what were their parents like? And so it made you do this family tree where you had your mum and dad. And so you looked on your mum's side and it was, okay, what was your mother's mother like? What was her life like? And what were her parents like? And then they did the same for the father. And then we swapped over to dad's side and we did that. And so when we looked at their parents and their parents' parents, we understood who they actually were, but not necessarily who they were, more the training of how they became who they were. That sometimes, even with the discipline, it wasn't really just them. It was your grandmothers and great grandmothers, and it was their energy of how they were conditioned. Now, where you are with your self-awareness, you're actually able to break cycles, but you actually can look into that person and go, hey, their mother and father conditioned this human being. And through their experience, I mean, my mother lost her father at the age of 7. She cooked for herself at 7. There's hundreds of children around the world at the moment that are actually doing the same right now. Yet we feel that's wrong. But we don't know what's right or wrong right now, because each human being's experience on the planet is very different. I actually witnessed a person lose their parent at a very young age, and they were driving a tractor and working on a farm in a third world country. And to me, through my Western eyes, it was like, oh my God. But this kid was on that tractor going down the road, and they were fending for the farm and feeding the animals and bringing the bacon in. So we can't quite understand unless we walk a mile in another person's shoes. So once I started doing that with my lineage, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, unless I actually look at it through these eyes, how am I supposed to understand? I'm looking at it that person hated me. Well, hang on a minute. What life did they live? Now, we're not going to be able to do that with everyone. But what we can do is actually have that revelation and not get, and I think with Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to have to get to the point where we realize not all, the world may want us to all be the same, but we're not the same. We're not all the same, and that is okay, especially with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries again. Fly your freight flag. It's okay to be you. Nobody can ever be you. Sometimes we can say to ourselves, oh, God, I wish I looked quite like that person. But nobody can ever be you. Do you not get that? Nobody can be you. You are so perfect in your imperfection. Nobody can remote, well, apart from the fact that they can probably clone you. But love the fact that you are unique. And so sometimes you can maybe have somebody that you look up to, but how do you know somebody's not looking up to you? Does that make sense? So generational, then we can go, well, hang on a minute, is this about me? But then when we respond to it, now when I communicate with my family, I'm actually able to articulate it a bit better. And I think I have water off a duck's back more. And I do think before I react, because I actually know the outcomes and I just can't be fucked. And look, they are perfectly imperfect, just like me. So there's nothing I'm saying untoward or under the... It's a generalization, if you get what I'm saying. So how have you been going, Angela? Have you been taking care? You haven't got to the laughing part. Well, it is hard for you. Like I said to you, I have been going through this 1st and 7th house thing a bit. I'm ready to, and I'm going into it again next year, the ascendant position. And I'm like, mate, can I call a break?
I do remember my past life, so I do know I did actually choose this. I'm laughing at myself. I'm like, you're a fucking Ugh. Oh, okay. I should have probably mentioned, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I have chucked a sale up on the website for Teams and telephone. You can actually book for December and January sessions. I've also opened some spaces during the day, especially because I know, being that this where I service is the globe, but I'm in Perth, Western Australia. So I have AM, afternoon, and PM sessions, Monday through to Sunday, different days. So if you do need a booking, anybody, it's over there. Sending love. Oh, yeah. It is hard. Look, even the Capricorn axis, Capricorns are going through it. The Cancerians, they could be to a degree. Yeah, I think at the moment, especially due to the fact that Saturn's gone direct, we're going to have to flow. And I want you to know, if you're looking in at the connection, here's some motivation. It's like, go, Angela. Is this pressure, this not getting to see each other, this being restricted, it's going. Okay? So if you can pause, if you can get grounded, I would wait for the next moon and then go into articulating and communicating. And you're going to actually find solutions, right? But regardless, these transits are removing things that aren't meant to be there, okay? For some of us, it can be that we actually do need to spring into action, and this can be coming between now and the new moon in Sag, okay? So this is an interesting kind of dynamic, and it is moving to the 28 degrees. The other thing is, Saturn in its shadow energy, by the 10th, we have the moon entering Virgo. So that is the south node. We're bouncing between both of them at the minute, trying to make some correlating sense. It's sort of like testing the structure of the boat before we throw it off into the ocean. We're stress testing it. So truths can come up, pressure points, what needs to go. Look, could people say things they really don't mean? Probably not a great time to do that. Go into understanding it deeper at your level and understand that the other person's having their experience. And we are going to have some anxiety, which can take us down that rabbit hole to make us think, oh my God, the same shit's happening again. I'm going to break up. It's not going to work. Oh my God. Don't do that to yourself. For goodness sakes, don't. Yeah, and again, these things are pushing us to deal with tribal situations. They're pushing for transition and change, and sometimes that distance can actually help bring the energy back. Jupiter can be to do with marriage. And Sagittarius is spiritual. It can be to do with a holy ceremony. It can be to do with flying, training, work, career. Yeah, paperwork. I just keep saying paperwork. Well, I better quickly respond to this lady. Can I have a message about the karmic debts and or messages from karmic? I have done a lot of clearing work, cutting. I'm going to tell you, when we cut cords, karmic energy only exists while we are dancing with it. It does. It really does. I was actually thinking about all the twin flame content I do, and I'm like, I need to help people crack the code. I think that's actually going to work better than a tarot reading, but I'll continue doing the tarot readings because I know people like them, and fair enough. But breaking karmic cycles, I'll pull some cards for you. you may find that whatever is meant for you is going to remain. Where did I put my bloody cards? I shouldn't talk that way. There they are. Oof. Probably very important also to be looking after our health at the moment. A lot of throat chakra. Keep your fluids up. Many of us can be fluids up, Mercury. Many of us can be look, I did say during Mercury retrograde, because it was moving between the two signs, between Sagittarius and Scorpio, that like tummy bugs and gastro might go about. It's shifting station. Chiron being retrograde, also you can find you do tend to get under the weather a bit more. So, you know, having honey, having probiotics and things that are really immune boosting as well could be. Go do your research, okay? That's another thing we'll be doing in the members later, is astrology based on what sort of herb can work during that transit based on the astrology. How to support it, you know, with what chakras, what particular chakras will come up. At the moment, it will be Chiron energy. So what does Chiron do? It's sort of in between the heart chakra and the throat. So it's about here, but it's also in your hands. Saturn also can relate to your bones and teeth. It's structures. So you can feel achy and a lot of throat chakra at the moment. Having a lot of tummy issues. Yeah, so again, you know, honey, having things that are healthy for you, keeping fluids up, you know, eating light, but eating food that is going to give you energy, give you immunity. So adding lemon, you know, the yellow food groups to get the vibration and the vitamins back in. What's the other thing? Washing your hands. Got to keep the environment clean, especially with the scorpionic energy there. If you're working in the garden, you know, PPE, wash your hands with soap and water after. Being aware, yeah. You've been stress setting. That's because, isn't Uranus and Taurus again back in the house? I mean, I'm smashing that cookie jar as soon as Taurus is in the house. I mean, even my puppy, she's kind of cuspy. All she's been doing too is eating. She just wants to eat. She's like Scooby Doo. And I go, food? She's like, anytime she'll behave. Staffy Roddy. She's a shocker. Stress setting. Yeah, I always like, okay, get off the boobies. I'm like, give me my mama. I'm emotional. And then you want to go to confession. I ate 3 biscuits. Oh, word. Yeah. And look, you know, if you feel that maybe something is up and you don't feel right, it's time to go for your checkups, you know. What's sudden? It's like, okay, it's time to level up. Go and get that checked. I mean, I got my bloods done the other day. And yeah, as soon as I am sluggish and emotional, has my iron dropped again? I'm not a doctor. I just know my body. Okay? I know my body. Okay, current situation. Oh, you may bump into them, okay? So you may bump into them, but they're also showing, with this purple energy, Saturn in its position, moving direct, is asking you to psychologically look at things correctly for what they are. Look, what is your intuition showing? You're so wanting a bulldog. What if you move? Think about that. Sometimes we do things and then we're like, I'm stuck. I can't leave my baby here. Be careful what you plant right now. Okay. And vanilla. Let's get some. I'll get 3 cards for you, my love, and then we're going to move on to the chit chat and the group chat.
Bulldogs, how beautiful. I'm always telling my dog that she is a Rottweiler, not a Staffy, because she does this conversations. Holy moly. We're out bush, and at night we hear trucks going by, and sometimes it sounds like they're flying. Okay, 3 cards. I don't know if I've got a photo of my dog. My granddaughter actually calls her, I called her Sheba, and my granddaughter calls her Sheeby. Sheeby. Even my neighbour likes her. He goes, oh, you won't get those things to listen. Baby. That's why I say to her, you're a Rottweiler. And she's looking at me going, hell no, I'm not. I'm a Staffy. Okay, what do we have? As you're moving into this new chapter in your life, some anxiety is building up more so. And part of it feels like things are moving away and everything that you knew is not so. And it kind of is bringing about that fear, kind of like the fear-based frequency. And it's like, oh my God, like, what do I salvage? And it's like you're going to want to grab onto something that feels super familiar. They're asking you to break the habit. And I'm not feeling this is correlating. It's almost like your guides are coming in to actually communicate about this. They're saying, don't get scared. The new chapter is coming. They want you to trust that. They want you to trust where universe is taking you. Try not to co-create. And, sometimes we can see a pathway and we're like, it's like a chessboard. They're like, you don't need to do that. We actually do have this chessboard in mind for you. And we know how the intricate pieces are going to go together. Have you ever noticed that when we intentionally place our energy into something and universe kind of laughs at us, and it's like then when we just go, oh, I know it's like all you need to do, honestly, in a sense of manifestation is to know what you want. It's better not to know how you're getting there, because I can tell you 9 times out of 10 you get there so much quicker. Universe comes and sprinkles that fairy dust, and it's like doors, walls, portals open, and it just is like Mother Nature. It's like a tree dancing in the wind in its physical environment. It physically comes to formation. Whereas when we are putting our ego in intention and still having that vibration inside of us saying, oh my God, I'm never going to get this. It's like every block and obstacle, you'll kick your toe, you'll stub your toe, you'll stand in chewing gum, and you're like, everything's going wrong. But I want that. And it's just like everything goes wrong. Okay. So they're kind of saying there's an old habit creeping up. There's a frequency of your whole world spinning. It's moving, it's changing, and you're scared. You're like, I need to see. It's like you feel your mind's playing tricks on you. Everything's not going to be okay. And they're saying, keep your energy focused on your goals, because it's almost like your boredom is taking you down a rabbit hole of fear-based frequency. You're not going to have a dull life. They're saying it's okay. You're not going to have a dull life. It's going to be interesting. You're on a roller coaster. Just keep going. Just keep going. They're taking you to your destination. It's not going to be the final destination. They're going to take you to your destination, and things are going to resolve. But they're opening up doors for you so that this can actually flow. I hope that helps. But they're saying, don't stress. Don't stress. You're going to want to hold on. Just go get a bot. Go get a bot. Take a breather. And, sometimes it's a matter of saying, I am shitting myself. And that's okay too. Just go, I'm shitting myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. And we'll have this hub here online into 2026 to come and have random chats, to have night chats and go, how are you doing? Are you traveling okay? So have any of you set your intentions moving into 2026? And when I say that, you know, do you have any logic of direction of where you're going? Or are you winging it? Are you feeling a lot is moving by the wayside and you're like, oh my gosh, you could also have a very clear idea of what is going to need to be addressed. And some of you, it's almost like you might have in the last 48 hours gone from complete negativity to complete boss ass bitch, where you're saying, I am not taking no for an answer. I'm going towards that goal. I do not know how I'm going to do it, but I am going to do it. And it's almost like, I wouldn't say certainty, inability to fail. Like that can't be. It's not an option. Okay, it's not an option. Yeah. So we're going to be in that rowing phase. If we need to relax and go, look, let's deal with some tedious details. We're moving closer to, for those of you that celebrate Christmas, keep it, like I'm telling you, I'm just going to keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling myself stupid. Let's just keep it simple. Let's be in the gratitude of whatever we have right now. Sometimes having less means we get more later. Be okay with that too. Let's keep it vibrational. You're going to have, as an empath, you're also going to have a lot of feelings of other people around you. It's almost like clarity is going to shift into other things of human beings around you. Oh my gosh. Try and take moments with that toolbox I recommended at the beginning of the video of getting some meditation tracks, getting some motivational talking tracks, getting some music to inspire you, and actually starting to journal once a month. Now, that's more for you because I am an absolute culprit of this myself. Knowing that as a human being, I do need to prioritize myself, not just work, not just friends, not just family, but actually self. If you can't do that for yourself next year, and really where we are right now, because we are very, very tired, we could be anxious, we could be placing attention too much. You know, taking a little bit of time to go, okay, what is my hope right now, and checking in each month. How, you know, not just all the negative and purging, have a purge book and have an inspiration book or just an articulate book, you know, something. So I would keep them in two separate piles, but they're yours to keep and you can refer back to them. So that you can take 5, go have a bath if you need to, do something for yourself. No excuses. You need to jot it into your month by month energy. Yes, it might budge here and there, especially as we do have transits move. It's going to be in Pisces, Neptune. It's then going to shift. Then it's going to get more serious. With that, offer less, give more. Right? Don't bite off more than you can chew. Have the big dream, make it big, big, but little seeds. Things are going to start shifting. Things are going to start moving. But these subjects around Scorpio and Sagittarius and the Moon and Mercury, you can be having some clarity coming up in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks. If things are delayed, don't stress. If you have to delay making decisions till next year, early stages next year, but definitely try it with these key areas that have been cropping up. The one piece of advice I would give, don't avoid them. If you can address it in the here and now, start doing it, because you don't want your energy to be siphoned next year when the transits move into a different zodiac sign. So it's about cleaning up. Not, you know, for some of us, we've already moved through these processes. It's just about delays, waiting, and divine timing. This could be something you physically have planned in a particular area of your life, in a relationship, in a job, in a transition, in a family-related dynamic, in a wealth sector. Some of you could be thinking about how do you transition your vibration of wealth, and do you become an entrepreneur? Do you go get another job? These are the big questions that many will be looking at. Any questions before I love you and leave you? Like I mentioned, there is a sale online at the moment. You can go through to it. I am updating the website. We do have that sale up for a small time. It is going to be a test, because if I do find that the sale is super popular, I may transition the prices back to that. But if it doesn't move a lot, it'll be temporary. The other thing is with the network that we do have open, which is the Sage in a Circle network, a few more tweaks to go, but the content I'm going to start plugging in, the webinars, the events, do a commercial for it as well, so that I can actually host it on its own channel, as well as share some here. And then on the website, when we are actually having events, I do have the Sage in a Circle network blog that I have created. I'm still tweaking the landing pages, especially for those of you that have the app for the website, because you can download that so you can get notifications and blogs and things online. You will see the events popping up there. Some of the events will be hosted via the website, but if you want them part of the package and you sign up to be in our next opening for it, some of those are actually within the package as well. Okay. Will Virgo and Pisces start to feel better, or is it to continue to increase till July? No, not at all. I think it can ease up. I think these tension points were based around the Mercury energy. With that, I would say how you respond, I'll be very careful not to be super critical, not towards yourself or the other. If you're having any anxiety, I will more than likely sit with it, go and journal it so that you can unpack it yourself. And always try and do these things differently. A is because the South Node of Virgo is going to make you personally feel as though your needs have been put on hold. That could be a factor. However, some of it could be due to circumstances we're requiring to address. Now, Saturn was going to restrict a bit, you were with Tweedledum or Tweedledee. Does that make sense? So Saturn, it's not just, sometimes we can think it's the individual or it's the you in general. Do you get what I'm saying? Say Pisces being the first house, it can be like, oh my God, I feel so restricted. And it could be you have too much on your plate. The other shadow side could be us being too strict. Separately, could it be a career? Sometimes when we look at a first and seventh house, especially a lot of astrologers have been talking about next year, and Libra, for instance, oh my God, don't trust your relationships. The thing is, it can bring about structure to lose weight. In the seventh house, it could be restructuring wealth, saving for a goal. It also can be that people around you are too strict. Or it could be that you need to be more selective about who you are bringing into your life. And because you are busy, you may find that energy in the seventh house, for instance, is very busy. And so, if parties involved in that connection, it could be to do with the contract. It might be, okay, something in the contract is changing. Neptune for a dream, building for a dream, making a sacrifice for a dream in the seventh house. Contract. So sometimes we hear it, but we're like, oh my God, does it mean I'm going to leave my relationship? No, not necessarily. Have you checked your app, Dawn? I messaged the network as well, in all fairness. It might be time to upgrade the phone. Look, YouTube has changed over the years, I'll be honest, and that was another thing that was a bit upsetting, obviously, with the new age verification situation. We do think about the fact that it's, at the moment, it is semi out of our hands. I've had several situations over the years between Google and YouTube in Australia, and it's like, seriously. But hey, think about the other individuals. And when I look at the astrology, I do think it's quite funny because Jupiter is going to be moving into Leo, and I just don't think the kids are going to be happy. So it's not just children it will affect. It will be YouTubers. I mean, this will theoretically affect me because being able to comment, being able to like, being able to share, I mean, most of the algorithm is based on that. Thus, for a long time now, it hasn't stopped me from choosing to create on YouTube. I actually think it's a fantastic place to connect with people, but also to get the word out, Big Bird. Separately, I have learnt over the years, you do have to have an element of autonomy. And I think for entrepreneurs and businesses in general, it's something they're going to need. Which one element is the website? The second is Sage in a Circle Network. But it's not that I'm going to stop posting. It's just navigating the ecosystem of what changes in social media. The North Node will move into Aquarius. There is going to be a lot of changes with technology moving forward. You know, in previous transits, we did have issues within the economy. This could be different on this occasion. A is because we currently have Pluto there too. So this occasion is going to be very interesting with the North Node moving into Aquarius. So watch this space. Any other questions before I love you and leave you? And look, if you have a particular area that you want me to cover, you can write it in the comments after the video is uploaded, and I will be happy to add it to the list and start creating them. So if there's a particular area you're hella nervous on, I know next year we'll have to check the Juno transit. We will have a Venus retrograde. Sorry to really piss you off. And yes, it's in Scorpio. I'm pretty sure it's moving between Scorpio. Let me check the retrogrades next year. So, yeah, fuck. Why am I pissed off? Because I'm telling you, Santa Claus must be coming to town, man, because my chart since 2017 has been so lit up like a Christmas tree. I should feel like I'm inside out by now. Universe hates me. That is ego, right? Okay, so Jupiter will move into Leo. We're still going to have Jupiter until March. It's going to ingress back and then more than likely do the move in between because they always like doing their cha-cha. What else do we have? So we are going to have Venus moving retrograde from October the 3rd. It'll be shadow till November the 14th, and it is moving between two signs. But the only good thing we have is Mars will not be retrograde. Now, hard aspects, we're not talking about that right now. But the following year, if you guys want to know what Mars retrograde is, how tired did you feel at the beginning of the year? Did you feel you were crawling into this year? Yeah. A Venus and a Mars retrograde on the same year, and all the planets ingressing. I think we need to give each other a merit award. We have almost made it through one of the biggest rebirths of this lifetime. I mean, I can't believe it. The beginning of the year felt like everything was a drag and it was taking so long. And from September to now, it's felt like we have condensed a year into one. I don't even know how that was possible. I actually see dead people, so when I see shit, I'm like, don't mess with me tonight, man. Oh. It was a lucky new year. I don't know about that. I've had the shittiest year. Has it been educational? Yes, it has showed me that I can eat a lot of shit. Is that healthy? Probably not. Probably not. I can do a lot. Do I like it? No, I don't. Comedy has been the best therapy. It has been the best therapy. What else? Love for people that, you know, at a deep soul level friendships. The gratitude of having them in my life, the gratitude of knowing I grew up with certain people, and the sadness that they're not here. The love of animals and pets, the healing I have moved through with parents that maybe haven't been the nicest to me in my childhood, but the closure that parties can actually receive through pausing and trying to look at it. No, I'm eating shit. I can't promise that, Dawn. until Uranus moves out of Taurus. Look, some big changes can come. Okay. Now, are we going to have good and bad next year? Yes, we are. You know, my mother's got this kind of thing where she goes, what's it going to be like next year? She asked me really messed up questions, man. When am I going to die? And I was like, oh, I'm not looking at that. We ain't going there, mate. I saw a meme that we've lived 3 different lives. Oh, mate, I've had more. And I was a bad bubby in all of them. I'm right there with you. I'm done with being. Yeah, now I think I just want to I don't know, you know that one where in the olden days they used to put, if they had to do some stitching or something, they'd put the wood in your mouth and you'd bite down on it. I think we need a few of those. Yeah. So please hold. Hold. Shh. Right. I'm right there with Ollie. I'm telling you, a co-worker actually said, your wife was really angry the other day. He messed up my truck chair, so I've been giving him shit. That's what happens when you end up being a truck driver with a bunch of males. You start talking like one. Oh, gosh. Just got to beat them at their own game. No, you would. No. See, that's the thing, Dawn. Neptune leaving Saturn. No, Saturn leaving the Neptune house of Pisces, which, you know, I've been sitting there and I look at my chart and I know what it's telling me. You know, you need to quit smoking. You'll have more money if you do that. So solutions are there. Now, what happens at the 28 degree? We're going to make you sick if you don't do something. So generally, this is one of the best times that you can actually kick out of it. And I can love my coffee. But have I actually started gradually through the transit of the retrograde to the direct, looking at things that are healthier? Yeah, I have been. I can 100% say it. I've started drinking certain things that are more organic and herbal. And one thing I absolutely love is dandelion tea. And the benefits when you read it. And I was like, you mean it's healthy? And there's some benefits? Cool. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Now, Neptune moving into the sign of Aries. We're going to need to talk about that one. Moving ahead. Why? Is because I did say be careful of mosquitoes. Okay. So I would say, especially with the Neptunian energy. Oh, so nice. And look, inflammation and things like that we can have with the Pisces energy. So flash, eat lighter, detox at the moment with that Pisces Virgo axis. Breathing, remember to breathe. Going and meditating, talk less, listen more. Listen to self. Listen to how you're feeling. Don't expect another person to understand if you haven't processed it yourself. So if you need to get angry, if you need to get mad, do that work, write it down, have the understanding, and then move into the conversation to actually get to the point. You're going to get a lot further doing it that way. You got to feel the feels because they can't fix the feels, but we can because we need to understand it first, and then we can go, right, we need to talk. You're going to get a better thing out of it. The other thing is moving with Neptune into Aries. Positives. There are positives. There are positives. Dreams, aspirations, independence, confidence. Don't go too narcissistic, me. But on the opposite spectrum, Chiron has been sitting there for a while. It's working on us at the moment. It'll be nicer when it goes direct. We'll be like, okay, you've just been scraping that wound in the whole retrograde. and they're messing this, and you know, so what do? We pacify, we avoid, we're like, okay, it's been poking at the wound. Now that wound will be your best friend. You will become a teacher in that area. I love that too. I have I bought that tea out the other day, and my mum goes, "Is that? I don't like it." Well, I don't give a fuck. I love it. I have all sorts of teas, herbal teas in there, and matcha. Yep. So Neptune also, I would say, be careful of your mosquito bites. My prediction: a lot more insect bites, insects, bats, blood-borne. You know, I've got to look back at transits. You know, I was not surprised to do with funding in the media, to do with AIDS, the Aries energy there. That's not Aries has that. Okay, it's transit correlating energy with the planets, how they can manifest. Mercury, look after your throat. Be careful what you're eating. Check how the products in the supermarket are made. Are they GMO? Are they natural? Are they organic? We could have in the Saturn transiting into Aries when it's retrograde, there can be plentiful. When it's direct, there can be less. So when we had, and I was looking at the transits going, okay, and I do use astrology on my own life. For instance, Scorpio, the tail. I won't even do a picture. Scorpio. You can find, we can get tummy bugs, right? In a Mercury eating, consuming, it's moving in a vehicle. The vehicle breaks down during Mercury retrograde. The food's deteriorating. What happens? You get gastro, right? I was very careful to make sure freshly cooked, not getting a lot of takeouts during that transit. Still, I did get tummy bugs. PPE, cooking food all the way through, getting the transit to protect yourself. Now, in knowing that, you might have wanted to go Christmas shopping. Me, I'm like, I want to. I did say there can be delay with import-export, issues with trade and transport. Turkey, ham, for those of you that buy, I'm looking at it going, Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio. Now, Saturn direct, chickens, eggs, fish. In Australia, 2 years, they are not allowed to fish. Okay, 2 years for a certain fish, I think in general. Saturn restricts what you can do for 2 years now. Now, could that be in different areas? Yes, it could be with alcohol, could be with tobacco. And this is not promoting that. These are predictive energies based on the astrology. Could be paper, could be don't cut the trees down. Pisces can be to do with books, to do with paper, to do with chickens, to do with fish. So we could have not a lot of turkeys. So you might go to your supermarket to get your turkey and there's no turkey. There might not be chickens. They could be smaller. There's that can be coming up. Now, when it moves into Aries next year, it could be meat. Okay, Aries. So I wonder, I've been checking, I think when we had its first ingress, if we would see anything like bloodborne disease. I think years ago, and I can't remember the year it was, I think it was 1989. Let me check the date. I need to be careful saying so. I'm not going to monetize this video. I wonder if it's come up again. I will write it down instead of saying it out. Okay, I'm just going to do it in code. That's emotionally intelligent, even though Tube can view it, but just to be safe. Banner. There you go. Create one. So this item here came to mind. And that is one thing that is a possibility. Now, what date was it out? When did we first have it? I remember we had, okay, 1996. Let's double check. So we would need to look at what year. I'm double checking to see the correlating energy. This is where we do research behind the scenes. Because the North Node is at the moment between Pisces and Virgo, which still can be wellness. It can be crown chakra. It could be a resurgence of the old one in 2020, temporarily, right? Especially as we have Jupiter move, not Jupiter, Uranus moving in that Gemini energy. That's when we can see some spikes in these subjects. Where is it? I'll get the exact dates though, but that is one possibility. What's the other one I was thinking of? Rabies, yeah. So being careful of animals, being careful of their hygiene, keeping the environments clean, keeping aware with mosquitoes. I mean, a few years back, I ended up getting Ross River and it was like, heck annoying. But again, you know, blood, mosquitoes, the humidity at the moment with all the rain, something that we should actually look at. So being careful, but making sure as much as possible within your budget you can get organic. You know what's in that. You're eating healthy and you're, you know, keeping yourself clean and well. So wellness could be coming up between now and February. Anyway, I hope this has helped. Try to not get too stressed in the context of big decisions right now. If you can keep it calm to move towards the next lunation, if you're getting the clarity and you're ready to articulate and communicate it, I'd go a few days away. I would miss the 10th if possible. You know, we always were saying that this month, moving pretty much within the first, I would say, 2 weeks is a bit testing. We're trying to get out of that shadow energy and into the forward momentum. It is going to be pretty busy and very quick, but where you can get a break, attempt to do that. This probably before the end of the year, if not moving into January. If you are unsure about where things are in your chart, go and find an astrologer, a guide, somebody that you really trust. Have a good look at your chart so that you can be mentally prepared with a toolbox so you know what you're going to be dealing with. If any astrologer ever tells you this is all that will happen, go and listen to some videos to understand that placement, because 9 times out of 10 you can have a myriad of things. So say it's the 7th house. It could be a contract, it could be a partnership, it could be a friendship group, it could be your money, it could be your body, right? It's not always one subject. It can play out in a myriad of ways. The higher houses, say 7 through to 12 is more internal. The other is external, other energies. So the higher up in the chart, it is about other people. No, the lower in the chart's about, you know, the other people, your family, your home, your routine, and then it's the more mature element of the chart goes up further. Not a great time to give money out. And what do I mean by that? You know, if somebody during that Mercury retrograde, there could have been some delays, and, you know, it could have been you went for a loan and you were waiting. When is that coming? Is it going to be okay? Do I, don't I? Do I, don't I? We're probably not going to have a good signature as to what everything's going to look like until we move into 2026. Being cautious with our choices, resourceful moving forward. Again, it's not financial advice. You know your individual circumstance and what's going to work for you. But definitely, whatever you need to address, try and do such. Take the time to rest. It is going to be busy next year. have your toolkit so that you can be ready to achieve, you know, the things you need to. And, you know, finding that group, you're most welcome, finding that group that you feel you directly relate to. So you've got that support system there. And find, you know, trying to get out of the habit of feeling that, you know how sometimes we go to, could be a particular friend or a particular channel, and we're like, it's going to trigger my deepest fears. Next year is almost going to force us to be so forward moving by mid-year that we are ready to conquer things, but definitely more assertive. Okay, it's definitely going to be more assertive. We're still moving in that nodal cycle initially, but it is going to become more intense as we are moving towards that energy of Aries. But it is also going to boost us to spring into action and get things done. So it might be a faster year. That can be a good thing, I think, because a lot of us felt that we didn't achieve a lot due to the fact that we had North Node in Pisces and we had Mars retrograde and Venus retrograde. So it is going to be intense next year, but it can be quite productive in the sense that we can have some forward momentum. So I will see you all soon. And if you do want to take a look at the sale, or there's anything you want to recommend that you would like to see here on the channel being recorded, feel free to comment in our community. It's open to you guys, as well as on any of the videos. Take care.